Welcome to Texas, motherfucker. Let's talk about Texas Chainsaw 3D. A lot of people's least favorite in the franchise. Is it my least favorite? Let's find out. This movie came out in 2013 and is directed by John Lussenhop, and written by three people, one of them being Adam Marcus, who wrote Jason Goes to Hell. This is the first and only one that I saw at theaters, and I remember that day like it was yesterday because I had just gotten my license and nearly died in a car accident on the way there. Now, getting into what I like about this movie is I really like the opening. I think it starts off pretty strong. It's very nostalgic, showing the original movie. They rebuilt the house, and they really paid attention to every detail. The set design, like, kudos to the people who built the house and redecorated it. Like, they make it look like it's back in 1973, and we're back in the Sawyer house. Grandpa's in the chair. They got the makeup on him. They make him look pretty close to how he looked in the original. They got Leatherface back in that mask that he was wearing at the end of part one. They got that big truck out in the front. I don't remember seeing the dead hitchhiker on the road, but maybe he was there too. Like, there's so much attention to detail. So I love that about this movie. In the opening credits, playing like a recap of all the iconic kills of the original in 3D also. And I love that they have Gunnar Hansen back in here as a little cameo. He's playing some other Sawyer sitting by the same window and doing that thing with his lips and his teeth, like he's licking his teeth. And also, you got Bill Moseley playing the cook. He doesn't act anything like Jim Sydow, who plays the cook. He very much does his own thing with this character. He doesn't seem like the same guy, but he's supposed to be the cook. So that was just kind of cool. Like, oh, Bill Moseley, Chop Top, he's playing the cook now. And then they even bring back Sally, Marilyn Burns. They bring back her to play a different character, though, in this one. So it's just nice to see familiar faces from the original. I like that it's just Leatherface now by himself. Feels more like a slasher now, because before it was like crazy family movies. Now it's a slasher movie. It's just one psycho with a chainsaw, and I like that. And I like that he has his mask stitched in onto his face, which was a cool added thing here that the other ones did not do. It also makes sense that his character has a limp now because of the wound from the end of part one when he chainsawed his leg. He still, to this day, has like a little limp when he walks. And I think this actor who plays Leatherface is good. He kind of seems similar to the Gunnar Hansen Leatherface, but taller. This guy's much bigger. I think he's like 6'6", I read. But, you know, this Leatherface, he's not the best, but he's definitely not the worst. And K&B, once again, provides the special effects in this movie. They did part 3, they did the prequel, and now this one. And this one, just like the prequel, is very gory. We get to see a lot more on camera than we've ever seen before. People getting sawed in half in 3D. So that was pretty shocking to see. In this movie, just like part 2, has a really good jump scare involving Leatherface when the first guy, the hitchhiker, gets killed. And I also just like that we get to see Leatherface out in public in that carnival scene. The scene could have been better. They could have actually had him kill other people there, but for some reason he doesn't. But it was just cool to see him in a new environment. And, you know, say what you want about this movie. I know it has a lot of haters, but it's well shot, at least. Like, there's a really kick-ass shot when the car's driving down the road and it flips over, and meanwhile, Leatherface is in the foreground, and we just see the car flipping over in the background. Like, that's a kick-ass shot. And there's a really good suspenseful scene where Alexandra Daddario is hiding in the cemetery in the coffin, and we just like hear Leatherface walking around, and you're like, does he know that she's down there? And if he does, she's screwed because she's in the coffin. How's she gonna run away? Like, and then a chainsaw goes through, and it's 3D, of course, going towards the camera. Like, that's a really good scene. I think they could have stretched that out a bit more, like really make it extra suspenseful, because they don't really play around with that as much as they could have. Like, they really should have had that scene cut to her more, and we just like hear him walking around a lot longer. and then like maybe you hear him like go further away and you think he's gone, and then you just hear silence for a few seconds, and then boom, chainsaw goes through. Like that could have made the scene even more better, but it's still good. Now, what I don't like about this movie is the confusing timeline issue where the movie is supposed to take place in the 90s, or no, it can't because of the cell phone. So it takes place modern day, like 2013, but Alexandra looks like she's 25, but she's supposed to be like 40. It doesn't make any sense. And there is some god-awful, just absolutely horrendous CGI in a couple of deaths that just really take you out of it. It is so bad you can't believe they even left it in the movie. I don't like that this movie teases nudity. If you're not going to show boobs, don't act like you're going to and then be like, oh, psych, just joking. And then also the whole like cheating boyfriend subplot goes absolutely nowhere. It really just served as a way to get the boyfriend out of the house in that moment. But you could have done something else. Like, it could have been the reason why she switches sides. It doesn't make sense why she switches from team, my friends to team Leatherface. Like, I don't care that you murdered my friends. Like, she doesn't give a shit about the fact that he just murdered her friends. By the end of the movie, she's like, do your thing, cuz. Like, she loves him now. She just met the dude. He murdered her friends, murdered her boyfriend, and she never even finds out that her boyfriend was cheating on her with her best friend. So it just goes nowhere. That whole cheating subplot is pointless. You could write it out of the movie, and it does nothing. This movie also has some really weak acting from a few of the actors. You got Clint Eastwood's son in this movie, who's just not good. The guy playing the sheriff, not good, and there is some cringy dialogue. I've already quoted a couple of lines. Do you think, cuz? And, welcome to Texas, motherfucker. Like, it's so bad. But the biggest mistake is that this movie tries to make Leatherface sympathetic as if he's just some misunderstood victim and his family was wronged. And it's like, no, fuck his family and fuck him too. This family was butchering people and eating them, and then in part 2 feeding people to other people, and they don't realize that they're eating people. But this family is despicable. They're deplorable. They deserve to get fucking lit on fire and shot. Like, if you ask me, they got it easy. They should have been tortured also. So they're local heroes. They're not the bad guys. I'm never on team Leatherface. Like, no, fuck him. He's the bad guy. The fact that they try to make him like a hero and he's sympathetic and he's like marking the newspapers, like Xing out their faces. He's got this revenge thing going on. Like, no, it's so stupid. So final thoughts, this movie starts off strong, had a lot of potential, but unfortunately in the second half it just falls off the rails and never gets back on track before the credits. But at the end of the day, it's still enjoyable. It still has that Carnage candy. It's quickly paced. And if you can just forgive it for its messy, contrived writing, it's an enjoyable one-time watch. I really like the first half, just really don't like the second half. So when it comes to Texas Chainsaw 3D, because I like the first half so much, I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5. Alright, spoiler discussion. Automatically, I have a question. Who the fuck are all these people? In the original, it was just the cook and Leatherface. Now, I guess after Sally got away, he quickly got on the phone and invited everybody over. Like, there's a lot more to this family than we knew of in the original. So then the lynch mob shows up and guns down everybody, and Leatherface sneaks out the back, and Grandpa still has the hammer in his hand as he's getting shot up, which was just so funny to see. And then we see that whole like car junkyard in the back that was in the original, and there's a woman with a baby. The guy takes the baby, kicks the woman right in the face, and we see the baby has like this symbol carved into her chest. And then we hear that iconic picture noise from the original. We get a few homages to the original, like they're driving a similar looking van to the kids in part 1. There's a dead armadillo on the road. They pick up a hitchhiker. The guy from Final Destination 2, who gets killed pretty early on, so you probably wouldn't recognize him. But Then when they get to the house, they just let the hitchhiker guy that they just met the night before stay in the house alone while they go buy food at the grocery store. Like, all right, we're going to leave. You can stay here. We trust you. And of course, he's a thief and tries to steal all kinds of shit. And not only steal shit, but the crap that he doesn't want, he breaks. Like, even if I'm not taking it, you can't have it. So when he dies, you're like, good, you deserve to die. And that's like the best jump scare in the movie when Leatherface pops up and sledgehammers him in the face. And so Richard Reilly, the guy from Hatchet, he hands her a letter, knows about Leatherface being in the basement. He reveals that later on, like, he knew. So he gives her the letter and says, you should read this. All right, make sure you read that. It's like, no, how about you make her open it right now and be like, I'm not leaving until I see you read this fucking letter and make sure that you understand it. How about you just tell her, like, hey, I don't think it's a good idea that you brought your friends here. You should go to a Motel 6 and not go in the basement because there's a fucking psychopath down there. Why doesn't he warn her? So this movie, like a lot of horror films in the 2000s, has a rapper in it, Trey Songz. I've never heard of him, but looked him up. He's a rapper, and one of his songs is playing in the movie as he's playing pool. He's a terrible pool player. Did you see how he broke the first time? And then he scratches, and the one girl makes fun of him for scratching, and then 2 seconds later is like, hey, where's the white ball? So then the one guy from Cherry Falls, he gets the meat hook in the shoulder, dragged down the stairs, and put on the hook, and then he touches Leatherface on his face, and that pisses him off, so he grabs the chainsaw and saws him in half. Very gory, probably the best kill in the movie. So then Nikki, she sneaks the boyfriend out to the barn, thinking that he's gonna find something shocking, but it's like a bottle of wine. She's like, oh, I just dragged you out here because I wanted to fuck you. And then, of course, he caves in, starts cheating on his girlfriend. Meanwhile, his girlfriend's in the house. She finds her dead grandma, Sally, from part 1, but, not really Sally, but she finds dead grandma. They haven't buried her yet. And then that's when she bumps into Leatherface, gets chased out to the coffin. She hides in the coffin, and we get that cool suspense scene of Leatherface walking around the cemetery, and he puts the chainsaw through the coffin. And then Nikki and the cheating boyfriend hear this, and they're like 200 feet away, and Nikki's like, hey! And Leatherface, with his chainsaw on, revving, is like, huh? Who said that? Like, there's no fucking way he heard her.
Welcome to Texas, motherfucker!
And then we get the worst line in the movie. The whole, welcome to Texas, motherfucker. I think it's worse than do your thing, because I don't even think this chick is from Texas. Aren't they in, like, Louisiana at the beginning? So she's not even from Texas, and she's welcoming the Texan to Texas? Like, welcome to Texas, motherfucker. Like, who even would say that? That's not natural. No one would be saying one-liners when they're trying to kill someone in that situation. It's so forced. It's stupid. It even sounds like the actress didn't even want to say it, and that's why she says it so piss poorly. I love that when they hit the fence, that it doesn't, like, break open like in action movies. They just hit it like a brick wall, and then Leatherface chases them, hits the tires, and then we see that cool shot of the car flipping over, and then Trey dies. So I like that. That was different. Like, usually they would survive only to get killed by the killer. But he gets killed in the car accident, which I guess it's still technically his kill because he's the one that caused the crash. So I guess technically Leatherface still gets the credit for that kill. But yeah, he gets, I guess, decapitated by the windshield. We see his severed head later on. And then we get a similar attack scene like in the remake with the two girls in the car, the chainsaw going through. And then we get this funny little moment where Jigsaw comes out of this carnival thing, and he's holding like a very small chainsaw compared to Leatherface's. And he doesn't kill anybody. It's just like Jason Takes Manhattan. He's in Manhattan, and he's just ignoring everybody. He's just got his eyes on one person. He's like, fuck everybody else. I'm just after this one girl. But it's like, why wouldn't you kill everybody around you? It's like, you're out in the open. You're busted. Now everybody knows that you're still alive. You're going to have to kill all these 100 witnesses. I don't understand why he's just going after her. Like the guy, Richard, really says, the last time he let a girl escape, his whole family got butchered for it. So that's why he's after you. It's like, well, now everyone's there at the carnival seeing him, so now he has to kill all of them, right? Then we get a very noticeable CGI 3D effect where he throws the chainsaw at the camera. So then Heather is at the police station, and for some reason they leave her next to a box of evidence so that she can find out the town's secret about how they went above the law and butchered her family, and she gives a shit all of a sudden. Blood's thicker than water. She's got to be loyal to her cousin, who's a psychopath. Like, yeah, he killed all my friends, but I don't give a shit anymore because he's my cousin, so I got to stick up for him. And she even writes murderers all over the papers, like they're bad people. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then all of a sudden, it's revealed that it has to take place modern day because this guy has a cell phone and he's using like FaceTime. This movie could have been in the 90s and it would have made more sense given Alexandra Daddario's age. But nope, it's modern day now for some reason. It doesn't have to be. And why doesn't this guy call for backup? He just keeps going further and further into the house without calling for backup. Like, seriously? That's so dumb. I do love that he shoots Nikki right in her face. It's a little homage to the original with the girl coming out of the freezer, but in this one, she gets shot right in the face, and then the mayor's like, it never happened, it's okay. And then the cop gets axed in the back. He axed for it, and then he gets his face taken off, so that was pretty gruesome and cool to see. He takes his face and doesn't ever wear it, so I don't know why he took it. I thought it was a really dumb decision for Heather to go running to the cop after escaping the mayor. Like, would you trust the police in that town after everything you read and you think they're all murderers? Like, and you know that the police are more than likely involved? Like, why would you run to the cops? I would try to stay alone. So then she's tied up and her shirt's unbuttoned. It wasn't before, but now it is for some reason. I don't know if she did it herself, like she needed some air, or if Scott Eastwood was like trying to rape her before that scene and it was just a deleted scene, like how her shirt became unbuttoned. It's only unbuttoned so Leatherface can see her scar. And then when she pitchforks that guy, why did they use CGI blood? It looks so bad. When she pulls it out, it looks so fucking awful. But not as bad as the mayor who goes through like the grinder. He gets grinded into itty bitty pieces, but we see it all on camera, and therefore it has to be CGI. They couldn't cut away and then cut back to a dummy getting grinded up. They went CGI, his hands getting cut off, CGI, him getting thrown into that thing, all CGI. It looks so fucking bad. And the cop, the sheriff, witnesses Leatherface killing this guy, his boss, and does nothing about it, just walks away. Like, what a terrible sheriff. So then at the end of the movie, she walks her cousin home. She finally reads the letter that if she had read it as soon as she got it, the whole movie never would have happened. And then we get the door slam again. And also the post-credit scene is her foster parents getting killed by Leatherface. So, yeah, she's living happily ever after with her cousin who killed her friends, and she doesn't give a shit about it. Never sheds a tear, doesn't care. Like, they never existed. So that's just bad writing. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.